Hello and welcome to another empowering video. This video is all about knowing how you can achieve joy, how you can experience peace, how you can experience love on a daily basis. This video will explain to you the science behind why people these days just cannot have a proper dialogue with each other anymore. In this video, I will explain to you the science behind human suffering. Why do people suffer? And what is the way out there? What is kind of the path to climbing up to more conscious life, to experiencing more of the joyful and loving and peaceful moments? Now, right behind me, you'll find the so-called Hawkins Scale. And it was made by a psychiatrist called David Hawkins. And he explained in detail the wide range of emotions and came up with a distinction between the more contracting emotions and the more expansive emotions. Now, when we take a look at the sheet here, you'll see that there's a wide range of emotions that are more contracting between shame and pride. And then there's the more expansive range of emotions that starts with courage and it goes up to love, joy, peace, and even further up. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to limit the entire range till the emotion of peace. And you can tell from the way somebody carries himself that he's either in a very expansive emotion or in a very contractive emotion. And I think the best example of a contractive emotion is shame, and that's why it is right at the bottom of the range of emotions. It's, you might say, the lowest vibration of energy that you can experience. And that's why people who are in shame, who feel that they're not good enough, they walk like this, it's like very contractive emotion. But then also the other emotions that are rather close to it, they are rather, you can tell from the way that people walk and sit that they are in a state of shame, or a little bit further up is grief. And you see that very, very often. According to David Hawkins, who came up with this scale, roughly 85% of the entire world population has a default emotional state between shame and fear. And that's also the reason why fear-mongering is such an evergreen, why you see politics and the media making a huge business with fear-mongering, because it triggers an emotion that's very close to the default state of most of the people. Now, what you got to understand here is that people, they want to rise in their frequency, if you will. They want to climb the ladder of emotions, and usually it does not happen in a conscious way. So somebody in grief can be, you can relate to somebody who's in grief by triggering the fear emotion or the desire emotion. Now, this can come in very handy for coaches. If you have a client who seems to be stuck in grief or even in shame, knowing about this scale can not just empower you as a coach, but it can also empower your client to climb up the ladder. When somebody is in apathy, is in shame, is in a very low emotional state, it's close to impossible to jump from that state right up to peace. Speech is in complete peace. It doesn't happen. It's just, the gap is just too big, really. So usually that doesn't happen. Anyway, I think we can all agree that to live a joyful life or to experience love or peace on a day-to-day basis, it's something that we all strive to experience. However, it's a little bit tricky. Since most of the people are mostly stuck between shame and fear, it requires some intermediate steps in order to experience joy, peace, and love, and all of that good stuff. The other thing that I mentioned at the beginning was the lack of proper dialogue. And this can also be explained by this scale. Now, what I really would like to see in society and in people communicating with each other is the application of reason. And you see up here, I think it calibrates at roughly 300 from a range of 0 to 1000 that can be measured with, I would say that, some techniques, some techniques. Kinesiological, yeah, you can test it kinesiologically, and then you'll see that shame calibrates at around 20, and you see that reason calibrates at around 300. So, in order to apply proper reason within your life and within dialogue with each other, with quite a high probability, it requires for you to take some steps. So the first point that I want to cover here is suffering. Let's start here below. So shame is the emotion of I'm not being good enough. And then there's guilt. What I do is not good enough. And then you have like apathy and grief when you're being sad about something happening. And you see, when you look around the people on the streets and when you look at the media, for example, it all triggers these kind of emotions. So you're being very upset, very sad about everything that goes wrong in the world, about people that suffer, about the state of the world in general. And you can tell from the statements that people make in which emotion they are. For example, grief would be, oh, I'm stuck in this job. I cannot find another job. My boss he's an asshole and I cannot get out of here. It's like very much the victim mentality. And how you can get out of there is by realizing what the underlying fear is. So when you're in a state of grief, you tend to want to move up the ladder into the nearer emotions on the scale, let's say. So that's why it can work pretty well with fear, and that's why the media does it all of the time. So what is the underlying fear of you experiencing grief? Do you think that you cannot perform a task properly, or you cannot find another job? You're afraid that you won't be able to succeed, for example. And then you can move up to desire. And the marketing industry is working a lot with that, but also politics, really. So you're kind of stuck in fear and in grief. And then somebody gives you a vision, gives you an image of how things could be. Imagine if you had all that money. Imagine if you're able to provide for your family. Imagine you were living in a safe environment. So vote for this party because we'll provide safety for you. And that's like the desire that kicks in there, that people will resonate with you if you trigger the emotion of desire. Wouldn't it be amazing if you did that? Picture yourself in the future. You have enough safety, you have enough love or whatnot. You'd be in an amazing relationship and all that stuff. And that's why when people are stuck between shame and fear, to appeal to their emotion of desire works very, very well. And slowly but steadily we move up the scale, and you'll see that the emotions that come here are more and more expansive. So when you see somebody enraged, and also here, I like to exemplify this with politics, for example. When you're like, imagine what the world would be like if we would live in harmony with nature, and the streets would be clean, the air would be nice. But however, these evil polluters, because of them, you cannot have your desired state. These assholes. It's because of them, this is very much also a blame strategy. And politics and media, they work a lot with that strategy. It's amazing. But it works. It's because you move up from desire to anger. And if you're not familiar with these mechanisms, you just simply go through the emotions, and you simply follow because it triggers something with a high vibrational emotion, and you're like, yes, yes, yes. So from shame, you move all the way up to desire and even anger, and then appeal to pride. These are all like very much ego-driven emotional states. So say, when you stick to the same topic of these evil polluters, they're destroying the environment, fuck them, I'm so much better than them. Oh, look at me, I clean the streets, I recycle my bottles, I'm just so much better. You see, pride can really lift you up. And I don't really want to say, I'm not saying that any of these emotional states is bad, because in a certain context, appealing to somebody's pride can be very useful in lifting them up in other states of consciousness. If we want to apply reason, if we want to live in peace, pride can be an essential step to getting there. All right. However, pride can be a very, very, very tricky thing. So among the more contracting emotions, this is the highest emotion. And as I said, there's good reason why there's pride, and you can really use it, and it has a certain necessity, that's for sure. However, it can also limit you massively. Because when you're in pride, you tend to be stuck. And you don't apply reason, necessarily. Because what happens when you're in pride? You think and you believe that you're right, that you're better. And that prevents you from connecting deeply, authentically with others. Pride is one of the main reasons why people cannot have a proper dialogue these days. Because I know everything already. Why would I listen to you? I know that I'm good because I'm ABC and you're XYZ. So why would I listen to you? I'm way better. You're right, I'm left. Why would I listen to you? I'm way better. So a lot of people are stuck in pride, really. And now this is not just about complaining, or it is not just an analysis of the state of the world and the state of human beings and a deep understanding of psychology. It starts with that, but I really want to give here our specific tools so you can empower yourself and you can get out of that state of the contractive emotions into the higher echelons where we can apply reason and we can live in peace and joy. And the key emotion is courage. Now, courage can be a tricky thing. For somebody who is always talking, who's always all about the blah blah, and just spilling all of the information or all of the stories that are in her or his head all of the time. For a person like that, it can be an act of courage to not talk and to not say what's going on, but for now, to observe and not say what's going on. Now, for someone who has been the silent observer his or her entire life, it can be an act of courage to speak up. And more importantly, in a third scenario that I want to mention, is the act of courage of questioning your own beliefs. When you're in pride, you think that you're right, that you're already there, that there's nothing else to learn. Academia is very much stuck in pride because, you got your papers, you got your experts who say this and that. And the others, they're just fools, really. Why would you listen to them? And this is also what I experienced in academia. As long as you are researching within a certain narrative, you're free to roam. You're free to research all you want. But once you question the narrative, once you step out of what is generally perceived as the truth, as reality, then you're met with a lot of resistance. Let's put it that way. And I experienced that as well, because I challenged the narrative when I was still in academia. And people, even in academia, they were not able to apply proper reason. because they were stuck in pride. They're like, no, what you're saying cannot be true because I learned it differently. So bugger off. It takes courage to question your own reality, to ask the question, what you consider truth, is it really true? Can you say with 100% certainty that what you consider truth is actually true? Because if you only have the smallest shred of doubt that what you deem to be the truth might not be true, then it's not the truth, then it's a belief. And it takes courage to admit that. This is also why in the self-help groups like Alcoholics Anonymous, the pivotal step is to admit that you have a problem. So you get out of pride of this mode of, I know everything, I don't need any help, to, all right, you know what? I don't know everything. And maybe there's something that I'm missing. And I'm open to new suggestions. I take that leap, that courage. Very, very important. And then you can get to a state of neutrality, of being neutral about what's going on. Being able to observe what's going on without your ego attachment to it. And you'll have a chance to accept that what I'm thinking, that's my perception. I accept that. I also don't need to convince somebody else of my opinion, because a lot of people in pride and anger, they do that. They want to force their beliefs upon somebody else. But I can accept that somebody else has a different opinion. And I can accept his or her view, and I can really listen to it. Once you reach the state of acceptance. And here is where you can apply reason then. After you've taken the courageous step of overcoming your own pride and questioning your own reality, and therefore accepting things the way they are and opinions for what they are, then you can apply reason. And you can see, now that I listen to you, I see why you believe in all of these things. Now that I see not just the research that is done within this narrative, but also within the other narrative, I can weigh the options. I can look at things in a calm way. I can look at things in a stoic way. Especially today, in today's society, to be able to observe things the way they are and not what your pride wants you to see, but actually to observe, neutral, accepting. That's the most important skill we can have these days. And with acceptance and the application of reason, we can have a proper dialogue. And we can understand each other. Because we're not stuck anymore in these lower vibrational emotions of fear and desire and anger or even pride that limit us, that prevents us from connecting on a deep level. And then, once you apply reason, or you are at the state of reason, you can move up even to the state of peace and love. Because when you apply reason and you see that my perception is individual and I wear certain glasses because of my story, because of my conditioning, because of my experiences, because of my teachers, and you have a different opinion because you have different sources of knowledge, then we can truly connect. Then we can tap into, see, the love vibration. And I'm not talking about the concept of a romantic relationship. That's, people very often still think that love is only a romantic and sexual relationship. But very often a romantic and sexual relationship is somewhere down here. It's very often a relationship of codependency, that you need somebody else to feel better, that you're afraid of being alone, that's why you're in a relationship, and you feel like you're unworthy, so you need somebody else to fill the gap, to give you the impression that you are worthy. And your state of desire, for example, of how a relationship could be, or that when I get married, I'll feel complete. Desire, desire, desire. But love doesn't deal with that. You realize that you're complete already the way you are. You don't need to force your dogma upon somebody else. You can simply accept. And you can love yourself for who you are and the others as well for who they are. And then we can have a proper dialogue. And then you also don't depend on other people's opinions anymore. You're truly empowered then. Truly empowered. And then you can easily experience joy and peace as well, because they're so very close to each other. Yeah, this is it. I don't think I have much more to say about this topic for now. So I hope I could give you a inside scoop into why people suffer and why people, generally speaking, cannot have a proper dialogue. Then again, also, what is the path that we can take to move out of there, to raise our awareness, to live more consciously, in order for us to be able to apply reason again, to have a proper dialogue, to really fully understand each other, so that we can experience love, joy, and peace as well. If you have any questions about this, please send me a message or comment on this video, because I love to connect with people who are also interested in these most empowering tools. And well, having said that, I thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you made it through the video, because if you do get these things, life will not be the same. I promise you, if you get these things and if you apply these things in order for you to embody these things, life will not be the same anymore. Not for you, not for the people around you. And if we can spread this knowledge and we can apply this knowledge also as a collective, also as a society, we can live consciously, we can live in harmony. But you gotta do the work. All right, I stay committed to your empowerment, and I wish you a beautiful day, afternoon, or morning, night, wherever you are.